Ahoy, ladies and gents, how you doing? I'll just get my mic a bit closer. There we go. Welcome to BBC Spews Live. Huzzah! It's what? It's the 1st of November, 2022. In this year of our clown. It's a mad time to be alive, isn't it? The thing that I've noticed in the latest kerfuffle, well, fictional kerfuffle, based off nothing more than leftist, ridiculous, absurd language policing. Paz made a video about it as well. Suella Braverman used the term invasion. I just want to break this down in the most logical way possible. Stark, yeah, black and white. She used the term invasion to refer to the fact that 30,000 unvetted, uninvited, fighting age men rocked up on the beaches of Blighty. Now, if you don't think that's an almost dictionary definition of an invasion, you've got a head full of cow shit. That's all I've got to tell you. That is the daftest, contrived, fictional outrage that I've ever witnessed. So that's literally what's gone on. No part of that, what I've just told you, is fictional, is it? 30,000 men, don't know who they are, don't know where they come from, uninvited, unvetted, they're all fighting age men. Just discount the women and kids, because there's hardly none. It's 30,000 blokes rocked up, uninvited, on the beaches. That is an invasion. That's worse than fucking Lindisfarne, isn't it? How many Vikings rocked up the first time they turned up in Northumbria? About 800. That's exactly what it is. Invasion of the Dole Snatchers. It's a good one. I like it. Anyway, who's in? Quite a lot of you. 134. All right, you're not getting a name check. There's too many of you. Too many. Rotten Politics is in, though. He gets a name check because he's a fellow YouTuber. So, hello, Rotten. Glad you're in. Right. What should we talk about? Do you even want to talk about Bolsonaro's defeat? Because I don't. Again, I suspect there was shenanigans, but I seem to be saying that all the time now. Why do these adverts are incessantly... Well, nobody's saved me from these insufferable adverts. Isn't it annoying? The BBC, you have to pay your licence fee. And they've started putting adverts on if you look at it abroad. Well, does the public get a discount? When they started selling fucking DVDs, they made a pretty penny off Planet Earth DVDs, didn't they? When they started hawking this shite across the pond, did we get a discount on the fucking TV licence, did we? Pisses me off, that. Anyway, oh, look, a rapper's been shot dead at 28. I'm sure that was Whitey's fault. It must be. We'll see what Biden has to say about that. Definitely some ignorant hillbilly's fault that fucking young black men just cannot stop shooting each other. And it's your fault that young Albanian men keep knifing each other. Don't know why. Don't know why. Just is. Just is. I'll actually show you some tweets because some of them were funny. There was a beauty from, what's his name? What's that? You can do it. What's that guy called? I totally forget his name now. Rob Schneider. Yeah, look at this one. This made me howl when I woke up this morning. Oh God, Brendan Cox. Look at this. Horrible to see the Home Secretary. Horrible to see the Home Secretary use the term invasion. Shut up. There's a beauty. Look, here we are. Rob Schneider. I just heard that over 50 former intelligence officers signed a letter saying the Pelosi gay hammer attack rumours have all the hallmarks of a Russian gay hammer attack disinformation campaign. It's funny as, isn't it? It's funny as that the walk, when they did this march through the institutions, just captured the media entirely and nobody talks about it. It's like, You've got activist media. Like, that is the same as in the former Soviet Union. The media outright lie to you. Like, I don't see how it's any different from full-blown propaganda. Do you know what I mean? If a story makes them look bad, the Democrats, the woke, and it's not even just the Democrats, it's worldwide. If a story, because it really is worldwide, if the New York Times or the Washington Post get a story about a European leftist, the memory all it in the bin. They don't tell you about it. And if it confirms their biases, they'll run that story for a week. The fact of the matter is, and nobody's talking about it at all. Like, if you literally go on Google, in fact, I'll try it, shall I? Let's just Google Paul Pelosi. See what we get, shall we? Right, let's have a look, shall we? Just out of interest. Top stories. Man charged with assault and kidnapping. Paul Pelosi faces a long recovery. Paul Pelosi's husband. There's nothing about. We'll see if Politico cover one, shall we? See if Politico cover any of the strange things that have emerged. 5 new details about the Paul Pelosi attack. Oh, here we are. Are we going to hear about the lubricated hammer? It's a hammer time. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Have you seen all the hills in San Francisco? That's one of the things nobody talks about. When I went to San Francisco, I was like, oh, this is a famous place, from all them nice movies. I'm going to have a whale of a time in San Francisco. Fucking, it's the worst pub crawl you'll ever do. There's more hills in San Francisco. Basically, if you were a pisshead living in San Francisco, you'd have thighs like fucking Garth. It's unbelievable. And after you've had 8 pints, you go, right, where's the next place? And then you're going to walk up a fucking mountain. I don't understand that about lots of places in America. Like, who got there, saw how hilly it was and thought, this will be a good place to set a town up. Get back on your horse and just do another few kilometres before you start building. It is mega weird. mega mallet. I feel sorry for the hammer. Yeah, we know where that's gone. We know where that's been. So let's see if any of these details, none of them talk about the details that are dodgy. Here's one, Politico. Let's see if they mention some of the inconsistencies. Let's see what the 5 new details are, eh? Oh, and then where's the fucking details? I was assuming it was going to be a bulleted list. Here we are. Paul Pelosi told police he woke up with the attacker in the room. Oh, I bet he did. Paul Pelosi told the police he woke up with the attacker in his pants. This is so. Do you know the amount of security these people have? How the fuck, if he wasn't invited, does the bloke get into his bedroom if he wasn't invited? How? You wouldn't be able to get in my bedroom without me hearing it. Do you know what I mean? Woke up with the attack in the bedroom. Someone boots my front door and I'm by myself. Missus at the mother's. Someone boots my front door and they're not getting into my bedroom. And I'm not naked. I've got time to pull some tracky bottoms on, grab my fucking pistol and go and give him a third eye. The idea that the husband of the third most important American politician doesn't have security, doesn't have guards, doesn't have coppers is laughable. So the only way he could have woke up with the bloke in his room, logic dictates, is if he invited the bloke into his room. He walks in with him and the coppers are like, who's this? And he's like, it's fine, he's a friend of mine. Oh, hello, ducky. So, yeah, that is just obvious. So, fair enough. At least they told us. But they didn't, did they? I woke up with him in the room. It's bog standard burglary. He's a fucking ninja. Yeah, he's a trained covert assassin ninja with a suit of predator armor. Yeah, he's like Nightcrawler. He fucking teleported into my room with a big dildo. He teleported into the private shop, grabbed himself a fucking rampant rabbit or whatever they're called, and then teleported into Paul's bedroom in his undies. He forgot to teleport his clothes. That explains that. Teleportation's a struggle. It's a difficult skill. Yeah, he hasn't got full mastery over his mutant powers. So when he teleported, whoops-a-daisy, everything but his undies didn't teleport with him. They're left in a pile in the private shop. So yeah, there we go. There's one. There's one. San Francisco police officers found supplies in a backpack. He carried zip ties, tape, rope, massive jar of KY jelly, self-lubricating chin dough, and at least one hammer. At least one hammer. Also a sword and 2 hammers in the garage. It's so easy to get a gun in America as well. If he was going to assassinate the bloke, why didn't he get himself a shooter? I don't get it. I don't. None of it makes sense to me. DePap told police he was like the country's founders. Yeah, so they're not. This is what I'm telling you. This is a fluff piece. DePap told the police he was like the country's founders. No, they're trying to paint him as a right-wing, because that's what right-wingers are like in America. They're a bit different to British white right-wingers, but right-wingers in America are sort of obsessed with 1776, the spirit of 1776, rebelling against a tyrannical ruler. Well, which is what they think of the British. Sort of a simplistic way of looking at things, isn't it, really? But that's the rhetoric like they use, because they do have a cool founding story for the United States, don't they? If you don't think too hard about it, because in actuality it was complicated. The 7 Years' War was ridiculously expensive. The British fucking fought and died for fighting the frogs, and then they told the colonists, listen, the number one people who are going to benefit from all this is you guys. So don't you think you should chip in a little bit? You can see both sides of the argument if you're a neutral observer. But basically, they're in love with the idea that the king was a fucking tyrant, refused to give them any powers of assembly to have their voices heard. They wanted a voice in parliament, apparently. So it was, plucky upstarts against a tyrannical overlord. So they love that type of rhetoric. So the reason they're telling you that DePap apparently told police he was like the country's founders because of trying to paint him as a right-wing wingnut. And why didn't it say, number 3, DePap told police he was a hippie commune, nudist, beardy weirdy who lived in a fucking bus, smoked a lot of Maui Wowie, and had Black Lives Matter flags all over it? Weird how they don't tell you that, innit? Weird that. He told the police he was like the country's founders. Did he? Did he? Well, I'm sorry, I'll stop you there. Oral contract ain't worth the paper it's printed on. Where did you get this from? DePap told police he was like the country's founders. Well, I'm sorry, but told, butters no parsnips, milado. I don't care what you tell me. He told someone. That's allegorical. That's not evidence. I want to see hard, black and white evidence, not ludicrous innuendo or hearsay. That's hearsay. If this was in court, they'd say, what, Your Honour, I've got some evidence. What's the evidence? Well, this fucking bloke told me. What are you talking about? Get out of my court, you fucking chimpanzee. That's what happens. I'm not Kojak, but I know how it works. That's not evidence. Your Honour, I'd like to present some evidence. What is it? Well, I was outside Greg's and I heard this woman telling this bloke, and she said, and then I heard, so then I'm telling you, and that's evidence. Guilty as sin, innit? No, that's nothing. This is Politico running interference for the woke, because we have evidence from his social media posts. We have photographs of the bus he lived in with the BLM flags on it. We have evidence from his neighbours that he lived in a hippie commune, that he was a nudist. I've seen his cock. I've seen his cock. There's your evidence. Right? Photographic evidence is evidence. Yeah. Video footage, website posts is evidence. You saying a bloke said something is not evidence. So this is Shiite Muslim. Right? Easy. Alleged threat to break her kneecaps. What is this? This is bollocks. This is bollocks. The pub said, Lewis, so nonsense. 5 bits of total nonsense. He told someone. He said something. He said something. Why don't you show us the photographs? Show me the bus he lived in with the flags all over it. Show me him in his undies at the fucking gay disco. Paul Pelosi, whatever you think of any of this, we don't need to read anymore. Fuck them. The bloke is always in the news. Have you never heard? Here's another easy rhetorical device that everybody's heard of. There's no smoke without fire. No matter what you think of this individual incident, Paul Pelosi is a fucking rat. The man is a human toilet. He is never out of the news. If there's no smoke and there's fire, everybody knows it. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. There's no smoke without fire. If everyone knows some scruffy little chav who lives in their fucking part of town who's never out to bother all the time. He's always up to summit. Paul Pelosi's never out of the news. Doesn't matter whether he's getting pissed, having a drive, shit-faced, scurrilous rumours, doing dodgy deals on the stock market, having a pop at the coppers, rolling about with a fucking bloke in his underpants. The bloke is never out of the news. So that's game, set and match for me. These bullshit fluff pieces which just spew out nonsense. Oh, I heard a bloke say something. When we've got documented footage of the bloke in his hippie van, living a lifestyle which is typically associated with the left, i.e. in a fucking bus covered in daft flags, getting stoned in a nudist colony with a load of hippies. Does he sound like a right-wing wingnut? Does he? Does he sound like a type of bloke who'd gone about 1776 in the Constitution? Or does he sound like some woke, drug-addled, pill-popping sex pest? I rest my case, Your Honour. If this was fucking the devil's advocate, yeah, I'm Keanu Reeves. I'm done. All you've got, Politico, is 5 pieces of hearsay. I've brought the receipts. I've got the pictures. I've seen the bus and I've seen his balls. So you can take this fucking story and poke it. You're not journalists. You're political activists masquerading as investigative journalists. It's obvious to anybody who's got a hole in their arse. And I think we can safely say that's the end of that story. Right? Done. Happy days. What else should we look at? For some reason, my screen's froze. Not to worry. I'll get Twitter back on. What else have we got? Brendan Cox, what a wanker. Oh my God, this kind of language violence, God. Well, we've all heard this one, haven't we, as well? Silence is violence. Words are violence. Things you say is violence. Actual violence isn't violence. 50 black blokes assaulting a load of coppers, caving a policewoman's skull in with a brick is not violence, yeah? The protest where they've literally killed a police chief and the petrol station's on fire behind them, the journalist says, oh, it's mostly peaceful. But if you say something they don't like, you're committing an act of grotesque violence. Again, it is ludicrous on the face of it. Whoa, a YouTube recommendation came in. That doesn't normally happen, Spesh. Usually Susan jams my channel where the sun don't shine. She stuffs it up her ample gusset and nobody ever sees or hears her from me. So welcome. Nice to see that happen. It's a rarity. It's a rarity. So yeah, this is ludicrous. Violence isn't violence, but saying things we don't like is definitely violence. I've seen people, right, on Twitter in the last 24 hours saying that Suella Braverman needs to be charged criminally for wrongdoing whilst in office because she said, oh yeah, look at this, 30,000 hairy ass blokes have rocked up on the beach and we didn't invite them. Therefore, looks a bit like an invasion. And they're saying she needs to be criminally prosecuted for it. So again, if you think these people aren't completely insane, then you're off your tits as well, is the short way to call it. And again, see if I can find that one anyway. I'm sure I responded to it because I was like, don't you realise that you guys are the baddies now? Do you not realise Here we are. Look at this silly bastard. This is fascist language. The correct next step is to prosecute Braverman for the crime of misconduct in public office. Please retweet if you agree, and DM if you would like to join a team to require Braverman to face British justice. Where do you go with that? And this fucking dickhead is apparently a physicist. Well, there you go. That proves that an expensive education doesn't mean you're clever, because the bloke, I wouldn't trust him to fucking fill out a fishing license. The proof that these people are exactly what they accuse everybody else of, i.e. fascist, is the fact that they want to jail people for having the wrong opinions. It's never enough for them to just win an election, is it? And that's what I said to the bloke. I was like, you know you're a fascist when you have to punish your political opponents. They've said the same over here for everyone who's not a lefty. They said Trump needs to be in jail. DeSantis needs to be in jail for people trafficking. Dinesh D'Souza needs to be in jail for undermining public health, being a vaccine hesitant chap. And now they're copying the Americans in the UK and saying, Suella Braverman has said things that we disagree with, so she has to be locked up. It's absurd on the face of it. Why can't you just be happy to beat Suella Braverman's party in the next election and Suella Braverman not be in power anymore? That's how it's supposed to work if you believe in democracy. But you can see that they are totalitarian, humorless totalitarian cunts. There's no other word for them, and there isn't a polite word for them. Because if you can't see that for what it is, you've got no eyeballs. These people are coming for you. Why do you think the gulags fill up whenever the commies take over? Because they're not happy to just beat you. If they win an election, they're coming for you. They won't just say, oh, we won, thank God for that. See you later, Boris and Pretty and Suella. They'll be like, right, find me some trumped up charges so we can lock these bastards in the salt mines. And whether you like the woke Conservative Party or not, do you think you should be in jail for being a political opponent? Do you? I mean, have you ever met a Conservative who said, you know what, SNP and Salmon and everyone should be in prison? Because they haven't, have they? We've said she's got the IQ of a pull-along duck and she's still got Velcro shoes. But we don't say Nicola Sturgeon should be locked up. These people are fucking maniacs. And by their words shall we judge them. This guy, this physicist, woke, fucking dipshit, and Paul Brand, who's meant to be the UK editor of ITV News, but is once again an active, overt, politically partisan hack. They want to see Suella Braverman locked up. They don't want to lock up the blokes who turn up, some of them with having criminal records, whose first deed was to break the laws of the United Kingdom. By definition, you're a criminal. You break the law if you pay a people trafficker to bring you here. They are criminals. The first act was dishonesty. It was breaking the law. And they don't say those people should be locked up, but they say Suella Braverman should be locked up for talking in clear terms about an issue that I would go so far as to say 75% of the United Kingdom is in lockstep on. I mean, do you disagree with that? If you walk through Hartlepool or Stoke-on-Trent or Leeds or Middlesbrough, anywhere up north, definitely, and just stop people in the street and said, do you think we need to take strong measures to fix our illegal immigration problem? I'd go as far as to say, if you asked 100 people, 75 of them would say, fuck yes. Of course they do. It's obvious. You don't know where they're coming from. And then these lunatics will say things like, oh yeah, but they don't do any harm. It's like they don't do any harm. 7/7, London Bridge, Manchester Arena bombing. The Manchester Arena bombing was carried out by a Libyan whose parents were known Libyan jihadists. That's why Gaddafi was after them. That's why they applied for asylum in Manchester. That's why you paid for the council house. You bought all the fucking chicken McNuggets for the little bastard's son, and then you paid for the Semtex and you paid for the day sack. So don't tell me they don't do any harm. Libyans, Moroccans, Algerians, people from countries that are openly hostile towards the inhabitants of the United Kingdom. And again, I'll meet them halfway. Sometimes we deserve the scorn we get. I understand why the inhabitants of somewhere like Iraq might be a little bit annoyed at the United Kingdom. You understand why they have hostility towards the UK, especially because a lot of them call it the mother of Satan, don't they? There wouldn't be a United States without the United Kingdom. And both of those countries still support Israel and send them money and material. And their view, ultimately, it all goes back to that, really. It's what it all goes back to that one the gift that keeps on giving is the state of Israel, because they're chums, they're fellow theists, but the ones who go to the churches with the big golden bell ends on top, they don't like them very much. I mean, again, you say this and people go, fucking hell, you can't say that. Even the most normal, tolerant, middle-of-the-road, non-practicing people whose parents originate from those countries are fucking, let's say, conspiratorial-minded when it comes to the 4B2s. I've got friends in Middlesbrough who are of Pakistani heritage, who are sound as a pound, not practicing, don't go to pray, drink alcohol, like sound, just borough lads, support Middlesbrough, talk like me, unfortunately. They're not the M-bomb. I can't use it. They're not regulars at Alan's legendary snack bar. They're normal lads who born and raised here. But even just through osmosis, from having like friends in that community and relatives, even the sound lads from Borough will say things like, yeah, but 9/11 was probably the Jews, wasn't it? It was probably them. Nobody wants to point this out, but anti-Semitism, the vast majority of it doesn't come from neo-Nazi white bloke skinheads, because there's hardly any of them anymore. It comes from one community. And if you don't know that, you don't know anything. Another thing is homophobia. Even conservatives know this in America. American conservatives have gone to the center. That's why people like me are happy to vote for them now, because I still consider myself to be a liberal. American liberals don't know the fucking meaning of the word. But everybody knows that very, very devout practitioners of that Bronze Age theology do not like gay people, women's equality, and the 4B2s. Everybody knows it. And you can't talk about it. It's so fucking weird. They make out as if homophobia, oh, it's terrible. Women, misogyny, oh, it's terrible. Anti-Semitism, oh, it's terrible. Who's the biggest driver of those things? It's not blokes like me, is it? I'm not homophobic, I'm not misogynistic, and I'm not against, not massively against. I think there's nuance for the state of Israel and the continuing support of it. So all three, I could not rightly be called an orb or a nist. I support women's equality. The best prime minister we had in the last 50 years was a woman, so of course I do. I've been pro-gay marriage since the 90s, and I haven't got a strong position on Israel and the 4B2s, so I'm neither of those things. But when you're conservative now, they're constantly batting around the head with misogynist, homophobe, anti-Semitic, and nobody is. You never hear that rhetoric anymore from conservatives. You never hear conservatives in England, you never hear conservatives in America having a pop. Women shouldn't be allowed to vote, or the gays shouldn't be allowed to go at the discos and sniff poppers and fucking party on till dawn because they all go out late. that's just a fact. It comes from one very specific group, a very conservative, very religious, Bronze Age theology is practiced by them, and they tell them, because it's there in black and white, don't like the willy wofters, don't like the birds doing what they want to do and fucking wearing the miniskirts, and definitely don't like the other people of the book that took a bit of land off you. So that's fucking bizarre. It is bizarre to me. That is the elephant in the room that nobody talks about. It gets leveled at people like me. You'll get one of them come out of the big golden bell end on a Friday after Friday prayers, smash up some Jewish deli with a fucking hammer, and then they'll have a pop at me for just making some off-colour quip. It's like, I don't do anything against any of these groups. The mullahs and the ayatollahs talk shit about them constantly, but nobody says anything about it. They are misogynistic. They are homophobic, but you don't see anybody criticising them. They go, oh yeah, Donald Trump, let's talk about him. What's Donald Trump done? Donald Trump said that Caitlyn Jenner could piss in the Trump Tower years before anybody else did in the Republican Party. Donald Trump is not in any way homophobic. He never said anything homophobic in all the time he was in office. All he ever said was Caitlyn can piss in Trump Tower anytime she likes. So it's just ludicrous. They aim the eye at the people who are the least deserving of it, and it blows my tiny fucking mind. Anyway, have we got anything good on here? I'm just rambling now. Let's have a look. Yeah, why don't you just concentrate on winning an election instead of acting like Pol Pot? That's my advice for any lefty. Ultimately, in fact, yeah, I'll sum up because we've been here nearly 40 minutes. Ultimately, it boils down to that tweet, right? You can whine and whinge about locking Suella up, and you can piss and whine about Brexit, and you can piss and whinge about any of the woke talking points till the cows come home. The only thing that matters in a Western democracy is democracy. If you want to be able to enact your dog shit woke platform, campaign on it, print little leaflets telling people these are the main points of our manifesto and we think they're fucking brilliant. We think we should be living in yurts and burning cow shit and walking everywhere and eating tofu and learning how to breathe with some beardy weirdy and be a pretentious wanker and call your mushy peas guacamole. Yeah, like Jeff Stelling said, and run on that platform. And we want to be soft on crime, no borders, man, no borders, man. Anyone who makes it here can come in. What? Even if there's 10 million of them? Yeah. 20? Yeah. 50? Are they ever going to run out? Do you think the third world is ever going to run out of fucking people? Do you think working class people can afford to feed them all? Ultimately, that's what you've got to do. Run on your platform, win an election, and then you can do it. But until then, wind your neck in. They keep talking about legitimacy. Nobody's voted for a left-wing Labour government for 12 fucking years. So you can whine on all you like about, hey, get legitimacy. Oh, we demand an election. No, you can't. You haven't won an election in 12 years. If you want to gob off about fucking immigration and the green agenda and eating tofu and being a hippie beardy weirdy, run on a platform and win an election. And until you do, suck my fucking stump is all I've got to say to you. I wish people would be as direct in politics. Just Rishi Sunak should just go and tell him, go, here, you can suck my festering left one. How about that? If you want to gob off and do things differently, win an election. But until then, wind your neck in. Nothing else matters. So concentrate on winning an election instead of acting like Pol Pot and saying we have to jail everybody who disagrees with us. And I'll see you when you do it. Yeah, win an election. And until then, pork it up your dirt box. All right? Easy. Right, I'll call it there. 41 minutes. You can have that one for now. Thanks for watching. Like it and share it and all of that bollocks for all the good it does. Apparently, I got a recommendation today. That hasn't happened in 2 years. I will try and make a video at some point. Maybe I'll upload something tomorrow. And, and for those of you that haven't, check out Bootneck Pants because, obviously, I am teetering on a knife edge here, because as soon as you start talking about immigration, you're in serious trouble on this platform. So for those of you that haven't, check out my other channel so you can find me and I can still stream if Mr. Angry Bootneck gets deep sixed. And I'll see you all very soon. All right, cheers. Thanks for watching. See you all in a bit. Toodle pip.